The American Bar Association, the largest legal association in America, suing the U.S. government, more than 24 agencies of the U.S. government saying that Trump's executive order attacking law firms is unconstitutional and asking the courts to enjoin them from enforcing this executive order. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. Now, we saw 4 different law firms already go in court in order to try to stop the enforcement of this executive order against them. Sussman Godfrey, Jenner and Block. And they were very successful because the law firms this executive order is very clearly unconstitutional because it targets things like their free speech. And so they have had win after win, but we saw many other law firms just capitulate, obey in advance, not even try to fight it in court, despite the fact that they are law firms and that's what they do is bring lawsuits. Instead, they entered into agreements saying that they were willing to give pro bono hours to Trump. And we saw Trump with a follow-up executive order saying he planned on using some of these pro bono hours for police officers who were sued for unlawful conduct. These law firms, these big law firms, I don't know why they thought they could enter into a contract with Trump and somehow have him honor it, but, going down this road. Well, the American Bar Association now is stepping in and saying that this executive order is hurting our members. It's hurting the legal profession. That is the point of the American Bar Association, is to stand up for the legal professions and the lawyers it represents. And it says that's exactly what's happening. There are some anonymous lawyers saying that their law firms are no longer taking certain cases because they are afraid of Trump's wrath, afraid of what he is going to do, and the implications of that, how harmful that is, not only for our legal profession, but for our democracy. So let's get into it a little bit. I was a big law firm associate back in the day, obviously before I did this legal commentary work. And the reason why Trump goes after big law firms is because big law firms are the ones who have the training, the capacity, the ability, the willingness to take big cases. My big law firm has not been attacked yet by Trump. Hopefully they won't be. But even just in this, just a small example of how and why Trump goes after big law firms. We had the lawyer, we call them the two Teds. There were 2 different lawyers. Ted Olson, he was considered a great lawyer of his mind. And he argued in front of the Supreme Court for Bush v. Gore. He represented Bush. As you know how that case went. Then he ended up arguing in favor of same-sex marriage. He argued in favor of DACA recipients. He argued related to the Citizens United case. These big, huge cases that ended up changing the course of history in many ways, all done by a big firm lawyer. And then in the same law firm, Ted Boutros, which has taken case after case, and in many ways, sometimes the opposite side of the aisle. He represented, if you remember, when Jim Jordan went after the former New York prosecutors, when Alvin Bragg was trying to prosecute Trump in his election interference case, and Jim Jordan tried to subpoena the former prosecutor who had left. Ted Boutros went and represented him in order to stop that subpoena. He also has represented Mary Trump. This is just a snapshot of some of how these big law firms come in these issues. Also with the case of the one he went after, Sussman Godfrey. They were the ones that got the nearly $100 million settlement against Fox and the Dominion lawsuit. We often debate the law, right? We debate the law. You'll see it when we're on our shows, and sometimes we have different opinions about how a case should go. And that just shows how much it makes a difference who your lawyer is, who is going to argue in front of the court, because the law is not static. It is flexible, and it matters how creative you can be in your legal argument. It matters how creative you can be tying the precedent to the current facts of your case, and over again, how well you can argue it in front of the court. And so it matters when Trump goes after these big law firms. It matters in trickle down into the everyday life, because He, according to this American Bar Association filing, he is making people afraid to take on these pro bono cases, to take on these big make it or break it cases for our democracy, because they are afraid of his wrath. And so instead of having a piecemeal by piecemeal, each law firm having to go in there and fight it, they are going in there and asking the court to declare his executive order basically unconstitutional and enjoin them from enforcing it. And they're very specific about what they do, and they're requesting. And they go through the executive order, the parts of it. They're asking the court to declare any security clearance termination provision unconstitutional. Because as you know, this executive order, that's what they were trying to do, is take away the security clearance of these big law firms. The reason why that matters is these big law firms tend to represent large companies who deal with the government and have security clearance, because the regulations that these companies have to deal with are very complicated. It's often big stakes involved, and that's usually when you would hire a big law firm. So by taking away the security clearance, you're basically saying they can no longer represent their clients. This is how severe that punishment is. As I've gotten older, I started caring about my skin on my neck because, let's face it, it starts to age. And so I was really excited to start trying Go Pure because the consistency is really creamy. But when I put it on my neck, it just absorbs so well. I've become so obsessed with it that even though it's a neck cream, I end up using it on my hands, which gets really dry as well. But the thing is about it being a specific neck cream is the skin on your neck is thinner, more delicate, and less oily than the skin on your face, which means it needs some extra love, especially in the sun and heat. Go Pure's firming complex targets the unique concerns of the neck while nourishing and strengthening your skin for a more lifted, youthful look, so you can feel confident showing a little more skin this summer. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code MISTRIAL at checkout. Get the summer glow up you deserve with Go Pure. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code MISTRIAL at checkout. Just head to gopure.com, use code MISTRIAL, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about Go Pure, tell them it was from our show. The other one is asking the court to declare unconstitutional any government contracting provision. Again, because if you're taking away the ability for them or their clients to contract with the government, you're taking away a huge amount of clients. Again, declaring any federal building and employee access provision unconstitutional. Again, if you are representing, let's say, a mining company who has government contracts, you have to go with your client to show up at meetings, to negotiate the contracts, maybe to mediate any disputes. So if you can't go into a federal building, you can no longer represent your client. And then the fourth request that the motion is asking for the court to do is declare any federal employment provision unconstitutional. And that has to do with the fact, it says, from enjoining the defendants from enforcing a federal employment provision against any ABA member or ABA member's law firm based on the individual's law firm or legal organization affiliation, or based on the individual's or individual's law firm's client representation. So really, here again, trying to make this a blanket protection for lawyers and law firms in order to protect the profession of the legal profession, because in this fight for democracy, we are certainly seeing the justice system being much better to check the balance, let's say, with our co-equal branches of government. The justice system is definitely checking Trump in a way Congress isn't. And the media is another check. And so we saw Trump's attacks on the media. This is his attack on the law firm, the ABA stepping in and saying, you are doing real harm. We have these anonymous members who are going to testify that you are doing real harm there's a real chilling effect by this executive order. And the pro bono, the reason why Trump attacked the pro bono is these law firms' pro bono work often are in direct conflict to MAGA. When I was at the big law firm, one of the pro bono things I did was help file asylum cases. People who had requested asylum often don't speak English, usually don't understand our legal system. And so part of the pro bono program was helping people with these asylum programs. We also did something called Adoption Saturday, which still is existing, which helping families formalize the adoption of foster care children before they are 18, because the backlog in the court systems is so long. Sometimes they cannot get a case scheduled and filed before they turn 18. And once they turn 18, they cannot be formally adopted. Trump attacking these pro bono policies because it does not fit in line with MAGA. And so again, a win after win of the specific law firms who have attacked this, 4 altogether have attacked it and did not capitulate. Here, the American Bar Association is saying, we are standing up for the legal profession in general. What you are doing is unlawful, unconstitutional. Have us declare this so that way no lawyer has to be subjected to it. So good on the American Bar Association for standing up for the legal profession, which is the point of their organization, and also hopefully standing up for lawyers who are at law firms who may already be feeling this chilling effect according to this motion. And so that way they have these particular lawyers can be protected even while at their job through the ABA. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. We will continue to update you on this case and many other legal developments.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.